Brixham is the biggest functioning harbour in England and is set in the heart of Devon. The harbour is home to approximately 20 different fishing businesses which generate an impressive revenue.
My name's Alex Passmore. I'm Managing Director at Moore Seafood Limited. We're a fifth generation fishing family which have vertically integrated into processing the product that we already catch. We've been in the seafood industry and predominantly in the catching sector for 300 years. So that's 5 generations of fishing out of Brixham. Moore Seafood essentially was quite a new concept, so we'd already caught the but I thought, well, why not value add the product that we're already catching? So with different criteria now being required, our markets were shrinking on where we could actually sell our product. So what we decided to do is set up our own vertically integrated company. So not only did we catch, but we also then transported and processed and exported our own catch. Moore Seafood was started approximately 4 years ago, and it started nothing more than an idea and a vision of where I wanted to be. Now 4 years later, we turn over £4 million. We are trebling the size of the factory. I've got new boats on order, and we're probably one of the biggest processors of scallops in the southwest. Our main custom is based in continental Europe, so a lot of our product goes to Italy, France and Spain, a little bit to Portugal as well. So I'd say 70 to 80% of our product gets exported from the UK.
Moore Seafood's factory has a production train committed to scallops. Fishermen come from near and far to Brixham's fish market. It's renowned around Britain for its success of produce. Located right on the harbour side, the market handles over 25 million of fish every year, making it the most valuable in England. The market buys and sells around 32 different species of fish a day to fish merchants, but this amount is based on what is caught.
To Brixham, 8.90. Right, 8.90. Five of the sixes, 450 by right by 60, 670, 70, 80, 470, which piece days? Again, 80 by foul, 90, 880 foul. This will work, there's 4 boxes and 2 pieces.
Well, I think some of the reasons why my dad didn't necessarily want me to go into the fishing industry was because of the uncertainty at the time. So the industry almost runs in a 10-year cycle. So you have peaks and troughs, you have good years, you have bad years. So ultimately, we weren't sure which way the industry was going to go. But at the moment, we're riding on the crest of a wave.
We followed the scallops bought at the fish market to their factory to see what happens to them. Upon arrival, the scallops go from goods to the fridge to a testing area, then cut. Onwards to a washing department to check for quality control, no contamination or no foreign objects. Then packed and back out the door to its onwards destination.
From an early age, I was always in and around boats, and obviously my grandfather had boats before that, so I grew up on and around the water, but it's very much my decision if I wanted to go into the industry or not. And I was sort of around 23, 24 before I decided that that's actually what I want to do for a career. Some of my earliest memories of walking down to my dad's boat when I was maybe 5. There's pictures of me sort of helping my dad mend nets when I was about 6 or 7. So some of my earliest memories are in and around the water and around the fishing industry. I've got two young boys that if they want to take up the option of being in the industry, that would be their choice. My father didn't make me join the industry. He said go out and get some real world experience and then decide whether you want to be into the family business, which of course I said yes.
While fisheries is a relatively small part of the UK economy, it is of fundamental importance to many people in different parts of the UK, especially Brixham. Fishing is a way of life for Brixham's community. Not only has it brought massive success for the British economy, but it's clear that the people of Brixham depend on it and are proud of their fishing lifestyle.
From a fifth generation fishing family, so I remember my granddad when I was very, very young, he passed away when I was 5, that he was heavily involved in also the politics of the fishing industry as well as managing and owning his own fleet of boats. Then my father, when he was 18, he took his skipper's ticket and was the youngest skipper owner in the country. So we've sort of been pioneers in the industry from a very early age. I wasn't necessarily told to go into the industry. I made up my own mind, and now through the vertically integrated business, I'm sort of created a business model that seems to be very, very effective and very profitable from a vertically integration upwards. So ultimately we know how to catch the product, we've learnt how to process it and market it, so that's the end consumer result. Brexit's obviously high on the list of agenda for people to talk about, so regarding futures and the uncertainty of the industry, but what we thought is vital, and most of us voted leave, was so that we're in charge of our own decisions. So in years gone by, when we're into Europe, we would have to be led by someone in Brussels telling us what we can and can't do, where we can and can't fish. At least when the UK has its ability to make its own decisions, it will be in the UK's best interest rather than one of a number of member states. I'd say 60 to 70% of my staff are Eastern European. So they're here initially on the European passport programme, but I think they would have grandfather rights because they've been here for a number of years now. That there are possible changes in the sense that if we're not an EU trading country, that we might have to pay additional tariffs to put our product into the continental market. My gut feeling that is before Brexit actually happens at the end of March, that all of these would be sorted and there will be free trade still, because ultimately it's a supply and demand market and the Europeans would still want our product and they won't want to pay an additional premium for that service. My personal view on Brexit is that it's an opportunity. It's going to happen, so it's maybe once in a generation to actually right the wrongs of previous generations. So my grandfather, maybe 30, 40 years ago, when we were going into the common fisheries market, said that it will have an effect on the output of product, and he was right. So this is an opportunity now to go forward and make our own decisions and make our own future.
Although Brexit is having a negative impact on many British industries, the fishing industry isn't one of them. Of course, this is just based on the fishermen's predictions. The future for the fishing industry remains unclear. Either way, Brixham will remain a hugely successful fishing harbour regardless of the implications of Brexit.